item per se. Okay. So then I can start with the validity. Any other question from any other participant? Okay. If not, coming to the validity of the scale. So now you have seen reliability. So in reliability, we always talk of items. We never talked of construct. In validity, now we have started talking about the construct. That is the Y, which is not observed. So a validity says, if there is a reliability in between the items, are those items are measuring the same construct which we intended to do, or is it something different? So validity is the whether those items are measuring that construct or not. That is the validity. So basically this scale validity, or Dr. Devjani was talking regarding the covariance. So covariance is basically if Y is changing, this X is also changing. So validity is a concern whether the variable is the underlying cause of item covariation or not. So if a scale is reliable, like in this case, if it is 0.81, it does not guarantee that the latent variable shared by the item is variable of interest or not to the scale developer. So the adequacy of the scale, like whether if I think that I have to measure the perceived psychological stress, that is the PSS, and if my item reliability is good, then I cannot say that it is valid. It is measuring that perceived stress or not, psychological stress. So if we see the validity, basically there are the three types of validity which we talk. So here we talk about the content validity. The second one is the construct validity. And third one is we call it as a criterion validity. And one type of criterion validity is the concurrent validity. So the first one is content validity. And here we'll talk about construct. The second one is the construct validity. In the construct validity, we have got two types. The first is the convergent validity, and the second one is the discriminant validity. And then in the criterion validity, which is the third type, there are more other types. So first we'll discuss about the content validity. Now, how do we define content validity? So content validity is the content of the item, which I was reading now. So that content or the items which I have selected, is it measuring that same construct or not? So the degree to which an instrument has an appropriate sample of item for the construct being measured, that we understand by the content validity. So content validity, the first one is the sample adequacy. So what do we mean by sample adequacy? That from the initial pool, what we have sampled is to what extent that specific set of item reflect that domain or not. The second one is in case of a content validity, when the domain is very easy to define, like this example I have taken from the Norman book, textbook, that if I have to make a content scale to measure what are the vocabulary which are being taught to the 6th graders, then this content is very easily defined because you have those as a list and then you make a scale and you see whether the content validity, like in case of our curriculum, we can easily define the medical curriculum. Whatever we have selected out of the pool, whether the content validity is there or not. But this issue becomes very much microscopic if we are measuring attributes such as belief or attitude in theory. So that's how like he has given one example. So this Tarba and colleague, they have planned to develop a measure of dyadic efficacy. Now, what is this dyadic efficacy? This is like how a husband and wife, that means a spouse, they like tackle the problem of any illness. So like in this case, the one person was suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. So he wanted to measure how couples in which one partner had rheumatoid arthritis perceive their ability to manage the illness as a team. So this was different from self-efficacy, because there is something known as self-efficacy. And there is something already existing as arthritis-specific self-efficacy. So if I want to measure this dyadic efficacy, then I have to define this construct very well. And this now items related to this, I need to evaluate whether this is measuring the dyadic efficacy or measuring the self-efficacy or arthritis-specific self-efficacy. So basically this again, content validity, you get it done through experts. So you may have to plan with 2 or 3 sets of experts. So first it is done by the researcher. So we talked about selecting the items from a pool of items. So through careful conceptualization, when ideally it is related to construct. So when yesterday we were discussing regarding operationalizing the construct and defining the construct. So when you are doing the conceptual and theoretical definition of that construct, it should start from that level, which is done by the researcher, and then it is done by the evaluator. So the evaluator is the expert team which you form, and then through expert assessment, you gather the response over the relevance of each item. And at least 2 experts are needed. So how to interpret the evaluator assessment result? So basically we use 2 types most commonly: content validity index and content validity ratio. So the content validity index, it is most widely used to measure this degree. So this content validity index, it is calculated at 2 levels. There is a content validity index of each item, and there is a content validity index of overall scale. So for this, at least there should be minimum of 3 experts. Maximum you can have more also, but here we have written 10. So experts generally give this point as on Likert scale. So 1 point for not relevant, 2 points for somewhat relevant, 3 points for quite relevant, and 4 points for highly relevant. And then the item is considered valid if its item-wise content validity index is more than 0.8, and overall scale is considered valid if scale content validity index is more than 0.8. So cutoff value for both of these scale is 0.8. So this was regarding content validity index. So content validity index is done at 2 levels: item-wise and overall scale. Item-wise and both the cutoff should be more than 0.8. Now there is another measure of content validity, which is the content validity ratio. So this is given by Lossy, and we call it as a Lossy method. So here also the experts rate all items, but here we take 3. So in this case, the number 1 mark is given to which is essential, number 2 is useful but not essential, and 3 is not necessary. So the formula for calculating this content validity ratio is NE, and N is the number of essential item, and it is 1, because if you see, we have counted this essential as 1. This one, sorry. This one as essential. And then we deduct n minus 2, where n minus 2 is N is the number of expert, And in denominator also we divide it by n minus 2, n by 2. So this is the minimum value of content validity ratio. If there are 5 panelists, the minimum value is 0.9. As you increase the number of panelists, it goes up till 0.29 also. But if you see the middle one, because it is difficult to find those many experts, if there are 12 experts, you can see even if it is 0.5, that is okay. So in the case of content validity, that number of experts were not there into play. But for Lossy method, you will see that it depends on the number of experts, because we assume that if you increase the number of experts, there is a less of consensus. So this was regarding the content validity. So content validity again, done in 2 phases, two ways: content validity index and content validity ratio. I'll show how to do it. So then third comes the criterion related validity. So we have discussed till now the content validity. The second one is the criterion validity. Criterion validity is basically, it takes a criteria into account. So our item or scale, we compare it with some gold standard, like we do for our testing. We do the predictive accuracy of a test when we plot ROC and when we do the logistic regression. So this also, here we see the area under the curve with a gold standard. That is the criterion related validity, which is also known as the concurrent validity. And it is also known as the predictive validity. So example of concurrent validity, this was a one research article, we have shared it with you. They have measured the psychometric properties of general health questionnaire for detecting common mental disorder among community dwelling men in Goa. So if you see this, can someone read this for me? Method. Whom should I ask? I can see Dr. Satyanand. Can you read?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Method: concurrent and convergent validity of the GHQ-12 were assessed against the Mini International Neuropsychiatric Interview (MINI) and World Health Organization Disability Assessment Scale (ODAS) for CMD and functional status through the secondary analysis of a community cohort of men from Goa, India. Criterion validity of the GHQ-12 was determined using ROC analysis with the MINI case criterion as the gold standard. Concurrent validity was assessed against the gold standard of ODAS functional disability and number of disability days.
So in this case, what you have to do, you have to administer 2 scales on the same set of individual. One as a gold standard, another where which you want to test as your concurrent validity. So now this was the result. You can see the area under the curve was 0.7, 1, optimal cut point was 2, and this was the sensitivity and specificity, as we do. And you can see the concurrent validity also with disability. WHO does, it is 0.3, and with disability days, it is 0.18. And if you see this ROC curve, it is also showing it whether it is it discriminating between the person who is suffering from that disorder or common mental disorder or not. So that's how this is done. So we have discussed. So for that, you need to apply 2 scales, because already there is a gold standard. Then you can compare your developed scale along with that gold standard, and you can perform these analysis. So till now we have discussed content validity and criterion validity. Third one is the construct validity. So construct validity is, if you say me, it is a very, very, very important, because it gives you the main meaning of the construct. So the item which you have selected, whether they are reflecting the underlying construct or not. And this one we will do tomorrow how to do, because construct validity is done when we do the exploratory factor analysis. But I will explain. So the extent to which the scale accurately measure what it is supposed to measure. So like if there are three components in this STARS questionnaire, worth of statistics, interpretation anxiety, and test and class anxiety. So in this case, all these, you will see this is the convergent validity, because there are two types of construct validity, convergent and discriminant. So in one domain, if you are focusing on this worth of statistics, then item 1, 2, and 3, there should be a high correlation between these two. Similarly, the correlation between Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 should be very high. This is the convergent. But in discriminant, this interpretation anxiety and worth of statistics, there should be less of correlation between these two. Then that suggests that this is a separate component, this is a separate component, and this is a separate component. So these three, you can see, there should be high inter-item correlation among each items of the factor, and there should be low inter-factor correlation. So if you consider this as an individual factor, this as an individual factor, and this as an individual factor, so there should be less of correlation between worth of statistics and interpretation anxiety, between interpretation anxiety and test and class anxiety, and between worth of statistics and test and class anxiety. This is known as the discriminant validity. This we will see tomorrow, how to calculate this in the factor analysis. And this is the convergent validity. Now there is another validity, which is the face validity. So till now we discussed content validity. Content validity is usually measured using the content validity index and content validity ratio. The concept of content validity ratio has been given by Loshi, and there you take into account the number of experts also which you involve in measuring the content, and you get the response in 1 to 4, that 4 item. In case of Loshi, we take 3 on basis of 3 point. Coming to the face validity, this is often called, but if you read the standard textbook like Norman and Robert, they say that this should not be a traditional form of validity, and we should not be doing it because it is very subjective. There's no mean that you can calculate something. So it is, they are saying that it often seems that people over a scale, they will say that it is not valid because they don't perceive it to be. So it is basis, the basis is entirely on the personal perception. Like, if I am measuring a job satisfaction, and if I've got following items on a scale 1 to 5, where 1 represents the strongly disagree and 5 represents strongly agree. So there are the 3 statements. I feel satisfied with my current job. I feel satisfied with my bank balance. And I feel satisfied with my family life. If these are the 3 questions, then what will you say regarding the face validity? If the original is measuring the job satisfaction, yes, on the face validity, can you say that I feel satisfied with my bank balance? Is this question is reflecting the job satisfaction, or is my family life is reflecting the job satisfaction? So if I see this, if I am seeing this, I may say, no, this is not the case. But a person who is very much money oriented, he might say, yes, if I am satisfied with my bank balance, then I am satisfied with my current job. A female who is measuring a job satisfaction, she might say that if I am satisfied, if my family is okay, the job is like, it is okay. So it is again, it represents the very subjectivity. That's why they say that face validity should not be assessed often, and we can skip this. So most important is the content validity and construct validity, which you can do on the same set of sample. I mean, same set means not that, using only one scale. If you have to do the criterion validity, Then you have to apply 2 scales on the same individual, and then you can compare. So if this is okay up till this point, then I will show you how to calculate the content validity index and ratio, and then we can go to the breakout room and calculate it, because that sheet is shared with you people also. So construct validity we will discuss tomorrow. That I have left deliberately now. So there are 2 Excel sheets, and I'm going to open that. And the exercise. So this was the questions, and we have given it to all the participants. And these were the response. Like we got the response from Priya, Rajiv, Vikram, Shraddha, Swastik, Dr. Devjani, Nipunjot, Parul, Mrinalini, Ashish, Kalpita, Frederick, Avinash, Rudresh, Paramita, Rakesh, Priyanka, Adarsh Jot, Khushbu, Ayalkar, Dr. Samina, Manu. So these were the people. So if I think that they are the experts, so if I consider them the expert and I sent these items to them after developing it and they have scored it. So how to calculate? So in this case, content validity, I will consider those items who are scored 3 or more. So if you see let me show you the. So I'm counting these 2. Quite relevant and highly relevant. These 2. So I'll go to this Excel sheet. How to do it? I have calculated it, but I'll again show you. So I may write here CVI. So this is so what I'll do, equal to, and I have to count the number of the people who have given response 3 or 4. So I'll press right here, count if, double click, select the range, and there are 23 people together. And then I have to put a comma, and then more than equal to 3. But this I have to put in double.
Ma'am, why are we selecting 3? Hello?
We are selecting 3 because I have to select items which are relevant or highly relevant.
Okay.
Quite relevant or highly relevant.
Ma'am, why do we have to select highly relevant and quite relevant?
Because that's the guideline for calculating. If you are using this scale, then you calculate 3 and 4. If you are using the Lossy method, this one, wait, then you calculate 1, which is only essential.
Okay.
And then press enter. So it will give you the count of all those number of experts who have given a particular item 3 and 4. And then you can divide it by the number of experts. So what I will do, equal to this divided by 23, because there are 23 experts. And then this is the, you can see I have divided this and then I have double click so that all these value will be populated. And then you can see the individual content validity index. So you can see item number 2 and 3. 2 has got good content validity index. 3 is also, 4 is also okay, not 0.8 but near 0.8. But others, like you can see, if you come down, this thing, item number 8, 0.17, very less. Item number 7, very less. So that means experts are not consistent. So you may need to send these to another set of experts. So this was the item-wise content validity index. If you have to calculate the overall scale, then you will take the average of this. This will give you the, so I will do equal to, select average, then go here. So the average was 0.50. So if you see, it is not a very good, because at least 0.8 should be there. So this you can report. But coming to another method.
Who determines the number of experts?
Actually, we say it should be like 3 to 10 for content validity index. It should not be more. Here it is 23.
So it should be 3 to 10.
Yeah, minimum 3,
Okay.
maximum 10. But for content, but if you wish to calculate content validity ratio, you can have as many as 50 also. But it
Okay.
depends how many of you, even like we were doing a content validity for our, we were preparing a blueprint for undergraduate curriculum and what needs to be asked. So we initially approached 30 experts, but then not everyone responded. So ultimately the response rate is very less. So what ideally we recommend, you should send it to many people. Not many means those of you whom you can call, whom you can identify, keep reminding them, and then they will send you, because it is not easy to get the response for all the items regarding the content. Okay. Because the items, this though we have just chosen 10 items, but ideally there are 30, 40, 50 items. And you know how difficult it is to pursue with them, to follow them up for a response. So even if you have like 3 or 4 experts, that is fair enough. But again, you can mention that in the methodology. So this was the overall. Now coming to the content validity ratio. So content, as I said, content validity ratio, we measure by the Lossy method, which is measuring on these 3 points. 1 is essential, 2 is useful but not essential, and 3 is not necessary. And the formula was, again, I will revise. It was N was the essential number of item, minus in the numerator, it is the number of experts by 2, and in denominator also number of experts by 2. So this is the guideline. So in our case, there were 25 experts. So I expect 0.37, at least that much should be there. So this was my content validity ratio. This, oh no, this is the same. So sorry. This is the content validity ratio. So again, I have used the same COUNTIF. If you see the formula, COUNTIF selected the whole range, and here I will write is equal to 1. I'll again do it. So what you do is equal to COUNTIF, select, double click it, give the range. So I will select from Jyotika, and then Ashish, Mrinalini, Abu, everyone, Priyanka, Manu. So till Manu, I will select. And then I can give comma. And then I'll start with the double this thing, and is equal to 1. Here I have to give is equal to 1. by mistake. And press enter. So you can see here, and then double click that. This is the number of expert who has given item number 1 as 1. And similarly, so how to count the content validity ratio? So this minus number of experts were 25. So what I will do is equal to this minus 12.5, because half of expert will be 12.5. And then put it in bracket. I can do here also. And then divide it by 12.5. And then press enter, and this will be your. So the content validity ratio is item wise. You don't have an overall content. You can see here it is very less, 0.12. And you will find that it is in negative also.
And 14 is essential items. 14.
Yes. Yes.
Which we got by count if range is equal to 1.
14 out of 25, 14 experts have said that it is essential.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is there, but again you will see that this gives you negative also, because if someone is saying a very high, if you see this, someone has said 3. Most of them has said 3, but few people have said 1 also. So it will give you negative. That's why it is recommended that you do content validity index. This also you can do, or you can use both method. So this is the.
Repeat how to calculate CVR, ma'am. Again, show the formula, ma'am.
Okay. So formula, if you see, it is the number of experts who have said that that item was essential. So number of essentials for an item minus a number of experts by 2. And that you do in the numerator also and in denominator also. Is it okay, Priya?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So if it is okay, Dr. Naveen, you can open the breakout room.